So here we go again. Somehow Hillary Clinton is in the news and giving us Hillary fatigue even before she officially announces that she's going to run for president. So wwIII reports, quote, Wednesday morning, anonymous former aides to Hillary Clinton were distancing the presumptive 2016 presidential candidate from Barack Obama just hours before his scheduled address outlining military action against ISIS. So, how did they distance Hillary from Obama? Well, the aides explain, you never want to be a Monday morning quarterback on these issues because who knows how things would ultimately turn out. But Obama has been passive on these issues. Hillary would have taken a much more aggressive approach. So what are they hinting at? More intervention, more war. They say, quote, it's the very notion of decisiveness. She's not gnashing her teeth the way we're seeing time and time again with Obama. So in other words, not only would Hillary Clinton be more interventionist, not only would she have armed the Syrian rebels, not only would she, get more involved with Iran, for example. She's made multiple statements that she would be much more open to a military conflict with Iran. She's also angry that sometimes President Obama likes to think before he acts. Oh, the gnashing of the teeth, what a bad thing, what a terrible thing. Yeah, you know who didn't do that? George W. Bush. Mr. Cowboy, foreign policy president, man, decider. And then what happened? Well, we ended up fighting the wrong country, a country that didn't attack us, and we stayed there for 10 years, and we totally destabilized the Middle East. But what are Hillary Clinton's aides saying? Oh, she'll do the same thing as them. Oh, she'll be decisive. She'll make sure to send our military troops into more conflicts quicker. Because isn't that what we all want? See, I love how stupid the Clinton aides are, and honestly Hillary herself, because she's been consistently hawkish on multiple foreign policy issues. They see one poll, I'm not kidding, one poll that says, well, the American people are open to the idea of maybe attacking ISIS in a limited way. And what do? They draw away from that and they extrapolate from that. Well, the American people are just interventionist, period. They want to fight in Syria, they want to fight in Iran, they want to fight in other places in the Middle East, and they want us to continue to run the world in every way, shape, and form. You idiots! Have you not seen the 972 other polls which say the exact opposite? I can't tell you how many polls I've seen from Gallup, Pew, Wall Street Journal, you name it, all different polls. Even polls with different political leanings, like Rasmussen, for example, where everybody says, yeah, we'd actually overall like to be less involved in the world. We'd like to be fairly non-interventionist. We'd like to kind of mind our business. And I love how the media distorts this, too, because there was a poll recently that it was a big headline, Americans more open to intervention than previously. And then I read the article. You know what the reality is? Yeah, before we were like 80 or 90% against intervention. Now we're like 70 or 60% against intervention. But they framed it as now they're open to intervention. No, it's still an overwhelming majority of us that say let's mind our fucking business. I mean, do you remember the polls originally when Obama and the White House and even Congress, they were trying to push us into war with Syria? It was only like 9% of the American people that said rock and roll, let's do that. But here's Hillary Clinton, guns blazing. Oh, yes, I would have been more decisive. I would have armed the Syrian rebels, the moderate Syrian rebels. Meanwhile, we just covered an article the other day that said, and it was a study too, it came out of Britain. They found that when they tracked the small arms, the weapons that the U.S. approved for Saudi Arabia, our ally, to give to the FSA, the moderate Syrian rebels, those weapons went directly to ISIS. Now, it could be the reality that ISIS beat the FSA in some battles and then took those weapons. That's a possibility. Or there's a strong possibility that maybe some people in the FSA movement were defectors. In fact, Vice covered a story where there's like a teenager who was fighting with the FSA defected to ISIS. So you're going to arm people who are then turning around and arming ISIS because they have a common enemy in Assad? No, Hillary, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. You don't know what you're talking about. You're not well-versed enough on foreign policy issues. You're making the same fucking mistake George W. Bush and Dick Cheney did. You're making the same mistake Obama did. You're making the same mistake that every interventionist does. I mean, Reagan with arming the Mujahideen and to fight the Soviet Union, and then the Mujahideen became the Taliban and Al-Qaeda, and they fought us with our own weapons. This is the same mistake you're making now, and you're brazenly arguing for it. Oh, I would have been more decisive. Oh, I would have done more intervention. Oh, there goes Obama again, taking his time before he wants to commit troops. How could you convince yourself that you are the more rational one by saying, I would be quicker to send young American men and women to die overseas in a conflict that has nothing to do with us? I mean, really, the fucking Kurdish Peshmerga in Iraq. I mean, that's what we're talking about. Oh, we got to go into Iraq, send some ground troops because we got to fight ISIS, and let's align ourselves with Kurdish Peshmerga, people that Americans didn't know existed fucking 2 months ago, and also with Shiite militia, also known as Hezbollah, a group that we consider terrorists in the United States of America. So align ourselves with terrorists to fight worse terrorists and get more involved, and then maybe we'll leave some weapons behind again, and then more terrorists will have the weapons. Intervention has been the problem all along. Look, I get it. If you want to do a limited military strike, so, for example, the original strike against ISIS, where we saved the Yazidis, a religious minority, on a mountaintop because they were starving up there and going thirsty, and it was absolutely necessary and humanitarian to do something like that. I get it. The American people get it. If you're very limited, if it's very defined, and if you get congressional approval, UN approval, and NATO approval, and you do it the right way by using this thing called rule of law and the processes that are set up, okay? But then I'm fine with that. But then once you go further, that wasn't enough. Now let's send in our planes to bomb. Oh, that wasn't enough. Now let's commit 400 ground troops, and then I'll go out there and give a statement and say I didn't commit any ground troops. Oh, now I want to talk further, going into Syria more. Oh, I would have intervened faster. No, I would have intervened faster. Can we get a fucking anti-war party, please? Is there a single anti-war party in America? A single anti-war politician in America? I mean, we have the Republicans who are in favor of every war ever in human history. I mean, you sneeze and mention a country, they want to invade it, whether it's Syria, whether it's the situation in Ukraine, they want to send troops to the border to beat back Russia, whether it's Iran. They just want to fight everywhere. Fight. And the Democrats come along and they say, no, we are much more reasonable. Let's only fight in 75% of the places that they want to fight.